Hello, this is Tiffany on our God equals reality and made from dust and evolved from apes. That was our first episode, and hopefully, you guys check that out. We definitely brought a lot of information on to the table with that
Yes,
one.
we did.
Similarities of our bodies and Earth, nephew, and
Yes, we
this.
did. A lot of similarities of foods that equal our organs, that resemble our organs, and also help those organs. But all of that stuff, go check out in our first video if you haven't seen it. We also made a lot of cool accusations to our designs and our bodies and designs and patterns all throughout the earth that also link all of us together. Y'all should really check that one out. And also like and subscribe to help the channel's algorithm so we can keep it going. But in this video, in part two, what we will be doing is now moving on to show you that evolution claims through billions of years we have DNA in common with every living organism on the planet. What we're here to say that does not refute what God said he did as well. That is all is two things can be true, even though one thing is tweaked a little bit not to be true.
You know
Like I
what,
said,
nephew, also? But that's exactly how deception starts.
right.
Because in order for anybody to receive any kind of truth or be led astray, you got to come with some part of the truth first and foremost.
Yes.
So you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's true. They have a point. And then once they got you, then that's when they can start veering off.
Right.
So makes
Right.
sense, right?
So we do share DNA with every
Hmm.
living organism. So they're not telling you a lie on that part. The question is the billions of years that they put with the statement. But we'll get to that another time. But we're here. It does not refute what God said he did. God said he brought everything from the earth. When he created, he said, let the earth bring forth. When he created the fish and the fowl, he said, let the water bring forth. So everything, including us, when he said he made us from dust. And before he did that, he said, let the rain come down, because there had been no rain to rain into the dust before he formed us. So he actually made us of clay. And it doesn't refute that at all. So that means we do share DNA with every organism on the planet. And while getting to that, saying he made us from clay, one of the key components of clay is silica, and one of the on the periodic, help me out, Tiff. What is the name of the
The
table again?
periodic table, because it
Thank you.
stands science, but I remember that one.
That table that shows us all of the letter symbols of every ingredient on or mineral on Earth is
Hmm.
found in our skin as well. But the main one is silicates. And the main ingredient in sand and in clay is silica. And for most of y'all that don't know what silica is, it actually is the key component in something called a silicone mask. Those realistic masks used in movies and for people to dress up, they can be right next to you. You never know what they look like. They never know that they be a person in a costume because it's that real. Why? Because that's actually what's in our skin. It's actually
Eddie
what's in our
Murphy, Coming to America. I
right,
just knew you were going to use that as an example because
right,
that's the example I know that most people are familiar with and all the roles he played, especially the
exactly.
one in the barbershop.
Yeah, the white guy. That's a famous role. You don't find out that's him until the end of the movie. That's how
Exactly.
good the replicas are. I actually have
Hmm.
an example here. Um, going to. Well, I'm not. I guess I could show you at the end if I become the host. Um, but so we'll have an example of that toward the end of the video, and so from there, our skin definitely shows all components of dust. Um, and the main component is silica, and we have all kinds of silicates on our skin surface, and we secrete oil and sebum and sweat also from our skin as well. Um,
Hmm.
if did you have something you wanted to say
Yeah,
about that?
that gland. You tell me, how is it pronounced?
The
The
sebum,
gland, sebaceous,
sebaceous.
sebaceous
Yeah.
gland. And so I thought that gland was very interesting because, like you said, it that's the gland that produces our sweat and our oil naturally. And when I first saw that, it made me think about how dry my hands could be at times, and I have to keep a bottle, a little thing of lotion in my purse because it's like constantly, having to lotion my arms. So then in my hands. So of course it made me take a little step further because usually the other thing that God does that's just awesome, and it ties all into us having everything that we need on this earth when He created us, is He creates things that help with the components in the our glands and our organs and all that here on earth. So if you ever find yourself like myself, needing some extra oil on my hands or my feet or something, um, citrus fruits can help with that. The oranges, the lemons, it even had watermelon on there. So that helps to make that gland function a little bit better if you're noticing that you're either not a sweater or you're a little bit too oily or not oily enough.
Yeah, and I
Just
find
saying.
it so interesting that our that we produce oil, and the
Mhm.
oil that we produce is also have the same components, and it's made of the same things from the oil that comes from the earth, that comes from the ground, and the fact that oil is what we actually need to put back on our skin to actually keep our skin even the healthiest. And a lot of clay and silica and sand, you can even look up, there's silica mass, there's clay mass, there's all kinds of things from the earth and plants that go into our skin to help our skin. It's the same as, speaking of plants, we breathe oxygen, they breathe CO2. They breathe oxygen, we breathe oxygen and breathe back CO2. We just can keep comparing and the system just keeps
Yeah,
going in a circle.
cycle of life, right?
Yeah, just keeps going on
Hmm.
in a circle. Not only that, the we form a lot of different things based off of the human body. Like the human body is a system, and everything that we pretty much have a system in, it is formed off of a human body system. Like a car, for instance, a car is actually modeled off of the human body. So the thing that God created gave us the creation to create from.
Everything. Yeah, isn't that
Every
something? Yeah.
everything.
Hmm.
Um, we even have radio signals from the fact that we know nervous signals send nerve signals from our brain to our lungs to tell us to breathe, to tell us to walk, to tell us to move our hands. And those are the same ways that radio signals and internet signals, everything works, as they work on the airways. And your brain uses oxygen to send those signals through your nervous system, which is
Mm.
why you need oxygen in your body and oxygen to your brain. Scientifically, there's a cool component that God uses oxygen for, or what we assume is oxygen when He gave us the breath of life, His spirit, because spirit in Hebrew actually means breath or air.
Hmm.
And and he says, when he breathed in our nostrils, we became a living
I think
soul.
so.
Now, the
Hmm.
coolest thing about this is soul is our mind in Hebrew. That's one definition of soul in Hebrew is mind. So
Hmm.
when he says he breathed his spirit into our nostrils and we became a living mind, that is so cool to replicate in science, because when someone is not breathing, first of all, the first thing that happens from suffocating is they lose their consciousness,
Hmm.
which means that the first thing that God breathed into
No.
us is consciousness. If you don't bring them back conscious by getting air to their brain or their mind, then they will be brain dead in
Hmm.
a certain amount of time, in a very short amount of time. You don't get that consciousness back, they will be brain dead. So I find that to be a very cool correlation and God
Very.
moving His Spirit into us, and we becoming a living soul, a living
Mm-hmm.
mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's that. There's oxygen, and then of course, most of us remember from school or science class that we are made of 70% water at
Water.
least.
Yes.
So,
Just
but
like, the earth. Now, what's funny is that when I was younger, um, it was 70. That's, you could Google, well, not Google, because of course we didn't have Google when I was younger, but
everybody,
that was taught that,
mhm,
we were 70% water, earth is 70% water. But now if you Google it, now they want to give you a range, it's 50 to 65, possibly 70. It's like, there's so much out there that makes you second guess or doubt what we know to be true,
right?
because we know that God made us and he made us last on this earth for a reason, because he
Hmm.
wanted to make sure that we had everything that we needed before he brought us here. And and that's why we all work together and how everything connects
Yeah,
on
we had
purpose.
everything we needed, and then the earth needed us. It says he
Exactly.
needed a man to till the ground. He needed a man to
Yes.
keep the animals. So we are here to pasture the earth. That's what we're here for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we create everything from the earth, which is also the now connecting the component that he made us in his image, is the creation part of us. The fact that we look at a tree and see a table, we look at a tree and see a chair, we look at a tree and see a house, a roof, all these things we can make from a tree.
Mm-hmm.
um, Things that we can make even from animals and animal parts and bones, and things that we can make from shrubs and greenery, and like how even our feces, our waste goes back into the earth to grow more things. The earth eats our waste, just like the plants breathe our CO2. It's an entire system.
All connected. All connected. And I know that we are running a little short, but anything else we need to wrap up?
Well, just a few more things. I would
Mm-hmm.
say just tying up the water part. We have 70% water, but did you know what part of us is 70% water? I mean, it's not our, we do sweat, but I wouldn't say that would be the water. Our 70% water is our circulatory
Blood.
system. It's our blood.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Water turns into blood. You can't have more blood without water, which is
Mm-hmm.
part of you dehydrating. If you don't have more blood, you want more water, your blood will start to dry up
Mm-hmm.
in your veins. Your veins will start to shrink and get small without water, literally.
And
Um,
that's the reason why you can survive without food, but you can't survive without water.
you survive much longer without food, much longer without food. Very
That's
short time without water.
that's yes,
Very
yes.
short time
Hmm.
without water. But as in the system too, we can't overindulge in any of the system either, because it's very
Hmm.
interesting. You can overdose on water. You can have too much
Hmm.
water, and just like you can have too much food.
Because too much of anything is not good. Everything in moderation.
Yeah, everything is in
Hmm.
moderation.
Hmm.
And going from there, we also produce electricity, like what some people would call us walking batteries. We are made of the same things, electrons, eons, and ions, the same things that make up electricity. We can also conduct electricity. As everybody has probably done the little carpet trick where you rub your feet on the carpet and get a little
Get that
zap.
little shock.
Yeah, you go shock somebody else on purpose or whatever. Yeah, but you can conduct electricity. Um,
Transferring of electrons.
yep, transferring of electrons. And
Hmm.
also the body produces heat. Um, and it produces heat in the same way that fire is made through a chemical change. Like when it's burning your metabolism and burning the food that you eat, it turns and cycles those into a combustion that makes them turn into energy and then the energy is then transformed into heat. So you can produce heat. It just doesn't do a big enough combustion to make a flame. But it's
Mm-hmm.
the same exact process as making fire
All
inside
going
of our.
on up inside of us.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
all
What a
going up inside
creation.
of us. We even the fuels, why they call them fossil fuels, is because they are literally created from fossils,
Mm-hmm.
from fossils of plants, fossils of animals, and when they decay and disintegrate over time and over years, they slowly turn into other minerals that feed back into the earth, as well as our bodies will. And the most natural gas that we have that we use to make up that makes up our fuel and even uses fuel to ignite fire is methane gas. Methane gas can naturally be found in your big and lower intestines,
Mm-hmm.
um, which would most people know as a fart. uh,
Thanks, Nolan.
I couldn't
Oh,
help
yeah.
myself. I couldn't help myself. But you get the point. So, um,
Oh, yeah.
just to conclude this part two, remember, go back to watch part one to know
Mhm.
all the similarities of design in our bodies and that we have similarities to nature that maybe you might have never noticed that are right next to you. Um, But until our next video, like, share, and subscribe to the channel so it can help with the algorithm. If you like our content, we thank you. We hope it blesses you so much. I am Eno. This is my auntie Tiffy.
Thank you guys for watching.
See you next time.
All right.